Welcome to the Palmetto Sports Talk preview show for Week 3. My name is Chris Dixon, and again, I'm here to give you a lowdown on some college football action that's going on and a preview of our two in-state schools, Division I in-state schools, and their matchups this week. First off, Week 2. We're still seeing teams fill out, see what try to figure out what they got going on. So we still saw a lot of sloppy football. Had some good games. Some good ranked matchups like Oregon versus Michigan State, Mississippi State versus LSU. But we had a lot of good games that should have been blowouts from Power 5 teams against 9AQ or FCS teams that wasn't quite what way we thought they would go. But overall, it was a good weekend. Clemson Tigers won. I know their fan base is happy. The Gamecocks came up short and lost. Nothing you can really do there. So, but we're looking ahead to Week 3. A lot of football still be left to be played, and Clemson finally gets into their schedule, and the Gamecocks have a tough one against rival Georgia. But first, I'm gonna talk about some of the scores, notable scores from last week. Number 11 Florida State beat South Florida 34-14. Number 6 Auburn was in a tizzy with Jacksonville State, won it in overtime 27-20. I don't know what they got going on right now, but hopefully they can somehow get it worked out, because I haven't had high hopes on Auburn. Number 12 Clemson beat Appalachian State 41-10. Number 9 Notre Dame beat Virginia 34. Excuse me. Beat Notre Dame 34-27. Number 1 Ohio State beat Hawaii 38-0. Number 17 Ole Miss, who I think is a hot team, and they get Alabama this week. They beat Fresno State 73-21. Number 2 Alabama beat Middle Tennessee 37-10. Toledo beat number 18 Arkansas in the biggest upset of the week, 16-12. That was Toledo's first victory, I think, over a top 25 team. Arkansas, we thought, we're gonna be this squad this year, but they struggled out the gate against Toledo, just couldn't ever get back. Number 19 Oklahoma came back to beat number 21 Tennessee 31-24. Number 21 Missouri beat Arkansas State 27-20. And number 5 Michigan State beat number 7 Oregon 31-28. BYU continues its Hail Mary miracle touchdowns and beat Boise State 35-24. And number 14 LSU beat Mississippi State 21-19. But it was a good week, I think. A lot went on this week. The SEC did not look good after coming off a strong performance in Week 1. They just did not. They struggled against a lot of small teams. But Ole Miss looks good. But we still got a long way to go this year. But other than that, let's take a look at my not my top 15. You can check out my blog, Chris Dixon's 13sportsblog.com, to check out my blog. But let's check out the actual AP top 25 poll. At number 10 we have UCLA. UCLA's being guided by a true freshman, Josh Rosen. He's a pretty good ball player. They have put up good numbers. They lost Eddie Van Doris, their defensive tackle, Week 1, but the defense didn't miss a beat, and I think they're still without Ishmael Adams. But UCLA's been able to move the ball, and they look pretty good, and they look like they are going to be the other challenger for USC. At number 9, we have FSU. They got out the gate struggling. They're still trying to figure out a lot of things, I guess, too, with Everett Golson at the helm. But Dalvin Cook looked good in his first game back. I think it was his first game back. he was really explosive. He's gonna be a big time ball player this year, and teams are gonna have to game plan for him. Notre Dame at number 8 squeezed out a victory over Virginia. Notre Dame, the luck of the Irish has not been very lucky. You know, they lost Gray Bryant. It started before in preseason due to academic issues. Lost a couple other guys. Terrion Foster. They lost him against in week 1. And then they just lost Malik Zaire this past week against Virginia. Brendan Wishbom will be their new quarterback, and I think they lost a tight end too against Virginia. But Brendan Wishbom is going to be the quarterback. Hopefully, this team is deep and they can keep on going because they're a really talented team. Really, really, really talented team. But at number 7, we got Georgia, who the Gamecocks face this week. Georgia, I still think Georgia's a one-dimensional team. But they've been able to win. They've been able to pull it out with Grayson Lambert, but it's mainly due to special teams and Nick Chubb and that great defense that Jeremy Pruitt has put together. But Georgia's been pretty good. Number 6, USC. Steve Sarkisian's got him a program down there, and they look really, really, really talented. And I think they are almost a sure bet for the playoffs. We just got to see how they do once they get into Pac-12 play. Baylor is number 5 in the AP. I have them number 2 in my poll. But Seth Russell has not missed a beat that Bryce Petty left behind, and Baylor looks really, really good, and I think they may be the team to beat in the B12 easily. I think they can handle TCU. Michigan State had a big win over Oregon. They're number 4. Connor Cook and the boys, they seem to be, trying to contend against Ohio State. I don't know if they'll be able to do that, but they'll be able to put up a fight, late in the year. But that game's still many weeks away. TCU's at number 3. Trayvon Boykin, we're still waiting on him to put up them video game numbers again, but they had a good convincing win this past week, and I think TCU is not far from actually turning on the Jets and starting to wax a few teams again, like they did all of last season. Number 2 is Alabama. Nick Saban, always has a powerhouse down there, and they got a big matchup against Ole Miss this week. Going to be tough. They will be looking for revenge. It is Bryant-Denny Stadium, so they'll be ready to seek revenge. And at number 1, you got Ohio State, who's 2-0, and just looks to continue their dominance that they've had over the past few years with Urban Meyers. But that's the AP top 10 right there. No big changes to it or anything like that, but I'm going to get into this Thursday night game that we got. A big Thursday night game that Clemson's probably been preparing for all season, and Louisville, bless their heart, has been, tough games since the start of the year and hadn't had a chance, but we got 2-0 Clemson, number 12 in the country, going up against Louisville, who is 0-2, who has lost to Auburn and Houston. This game has a 7-point spread to Clemson. Louisville, they've been playing a quarterback called named Lamar Jackson. Sorry. He's been iffy in the past game, but he's fast. He's really athletic, just inexperienced, and they played him against the first 2 teams. I don't know if it was the best idea. But this week, I think Kyle Boland's going to get the start. He came in last week against Houston and looked phenomenal. He threw for 157 yards and 1 touchdown in, the 4th quarter and almost brought them back, and the defense just couldn't hold up. But Kyle Boland looks like he's going to be the quarterback for Louisville. The unlikely starter because you had Reggie Bonifon, Will Gardner, and you got this guy that came in. Both 2 guys that have just came in and just took over to him, young guys. Jaquay Savage is probably their top wide receiver target with James Quick being out. He's had 8 receptions, 81 yards, and 1 touchdown this season. I don't know how well he'll fare up against Mackenzie Alexander and that Clemson secondary, who's been phenomenal, but he'll definitely, have a good game, I still believe, because that's probably Boland's favorite target, as we saw last week. At running back, they have Brandon Radcliffe. He's gotten off to a really slow start, but he has 27 carries, 119 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the year. He's more of a power back. He's not your everyday back, but he's a power back, and he can make people miss, and he's really, really talented. In the secondary, they got Mick, Sheldon Rankins, who is their defensive end, who I think is maybe number 2, number 3 defensive end, maybe 4. He's a top 5 defensive end in the ACC. Really talented, really quick off the ball, but he's a big guy. And then they got Georgia transfer playing safety Josh Harvey Clemens, who's been a stud in the back there in the secondary for Louisville. He needs some more help, but Josh Harvey Clemens is a ball player. Louisville is averaging 400 yards a game on offense, and they're allowing 394.5 yards allowed on defense, which is something they'd like to see go down a little bit. But Louisville had high hopes and expectations coming into the season. Hasn't exactly played out that way, but hopefully things will change. Clemson, Deshaun Watson still looks pretty good. He's not got hurt. He's had the wind or so knocked out of him once or twice. But he's been 37 for 48, 442 yards, with a 77.1 completion percentage, 5 touchdowns and 1 interception. This will be his first real test. Remember last year he only played like 1 or 2 possessions against Louisville. But Louisville would definitely be a good test for him. And I expect, a good ball game on Thursday night between them, and that'd be a good matchup for Watson versus their secondary or their defense overall. Wade Gallen, this guy's probably the most improved Clemson player on this team. He struggled to start last year, but got hot at the end of the year. So far this year, he's had 29 carries, 171 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Wade Gallen has separated himself to be that number 1 back for Clemson this season. Artavis Scott had 12 receptions, about 148 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's Watson's go-to guy. He don't really do a lot of downfield stuff. You'll see him catch balls right out the backfield or screens or coming across the middle. But he's a stud when he's got the ball in his hands. You get the ball in his hands and he's going to make people miss, and then he's going to score. And that's been a problem for a lot of teams. Clemson's averaging 462 yards total offense a game, and only allowing 255 yards per game. They have done this against Wofford and Appalachian State, which I'm not knocking. Both tough opponents, but I'm really excited to see what Clemson's got up against, a Power 5 school. I expect a good, loud Thursday night game. Louisville usually gets up for their Thursday nighters. It's going to be a good one. I can say that. I do believe it is going to be a good ball game. Clemson's got, they played on Saturday. So both teams really only have really 2 good days to prepare for this game. Maybe 3, because I'm sure they'll be traveling or just doing a walkthrough on Wednesday. But it's going to be a good game, and I expect a close one. But my game prediction for this week is Clemson 34, Louisville 24. I'm going with 10 points here. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like Clemson is the better pick here. More experience. Louisville just hasn't showed, what they got, and Clemson's got Deshaun Watson. That's just the end of the story. The Gamecocks, the Gamecocks 1-1, coming off a loss against Kentucky. We'll face Georgia, 2-0 Georgia, number 7 in the country. There is a crazy point spread on this. I just don't think it's a good one, so I'm willing to take the Gamecocks in the point spread. But point spread 16.5. The Gamecocks lost Connor Mitch against Kentucky. I don't know if that's a bad thing or a good thing, but you'll see a lot of Perry Orff will get the start. You'll probably see a lot of Lorenzo Nunez, but Perry Orff will get the start. He was 15 of 27 for 203 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. Brandon Wiles had 30 carries for 157 yards and 0 touchdowns on the season. Still wait for him to, get into the end zone. He's been reliable for the Gamecocks in both passing and rushing game. Sean Carson has 9 carries for 111 yards and 1 touchdown. He's moved his way into the backup spot at running back, and he's really talented. He gets a hole and he's gone. And he's got good agility. Then Farrell Cooper, who finally got more into the action this past week, 12 receptions for 155 yards, 1 touchdown. I think he may have had a 100-yard game this past week, so that's good. But the Gamecocks struggled against Kentucky. Their defense has been phenomenal in both second halves. They've only allowed 2 points in the second half all year. But in the first half, they've allowed a total of, I think it's 37 points in the first half total for 2 games. They got to get that down. I think they allowed like under 70 yards total offense in the second half. So they definitely got to get them numbers down and against Georgia, because Georgia, and they got to stop the run too against Georgia, because that's basically what they're gonna do. We saw Bryce Ramsey get some playing time against Vanderbilt, but right now Mark Ritt's still saying that Grayson Lambert is the starter. He's 19 for 33 on the year with 257 yards and 2 touchdowns. He struggled a lot, but he's holding on. It seems to be good right now, and a lot of teams are, not really worried about Georgia's passing as they are their running game, but they use that play action a lot, and it works. Nick Chubb, 35 carries, 309 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's in 2 games, and them are stud numbers when he hasn't played most of the games. Sonny Mitchell, another stud for Georgia. He's had like a little under 100 yards rushing, but has had 109 yards in the receiving game with 4 receptions, 1 touchdown. So he's really good out the backfield. Malcolm Mitchell is still healthy, which is good for Georgia. They've missed him past couple of years with injuries. He has 7 receptions for 88 yards and 1 touchdown. He'll definitely be somebody to watch in the receiving game. I expect another close one. You got to think about it. The past few years, all these games have been decided by under 10 points, 7 points. I take that back. Hold up. I take that back. Usually these games are decided with under 7 points. But we all remember that 2012 at Williams-Brice where the Gamecocks won by 28 points. So I forgot about that. I don't know how I could forget about it because I was there. It was one of the greatest games of my life. But I'm going to go with Georgia here, though. I'm not biased. I'm not going to always take my Gamecocks. Gamecocks, they're 1-1. There's a lot of games left. I've said it from day one. I thought they were a 7-5 team. I had them winning against Kentucky. They lost. So, right now, they should be a 6-6 team. But there's not a game on our schedule I think we cannot win. But there's not a game on that schedule I don't think we can lose. So, it's going to be a wild game, but I'm going to go with Georgia 31-21 in this game. Some notable games just to watch this weekend. Number 9 FSU versus Boston College. It's going to be a good game. Florida State will look to try to get into some rhythm against Boston College. Number 18 Auburn versus number 13 LSU. Auburn's going to try to start, getting into that rhythm again, seeing what Chairman Johnson's got in store. While LSU is starting to, they look pretty good against Mississippi State and have looked good for a while now. Number 14 Georgia Tech versus number 8 Notre Dame. Going to be another good game. We got several good games this week, and that's definitely going to be a good one right there. Number 6 USC versus Stanford. Stanford got off to a bad loss at the beginning, but they could bounce back from it. USC still look good. We'll know this week what USC has. If they can go out there and beat Stanford by 21 points, you better watch out for USC. Biggest game of the week, though, is easily number 15 Ole Miss versus number 2 Alabama. the revenge game. Ole Miss has got Chad Kelly, who's a transfer from Clemson Tigers, who has been looking really good, and they've been averaging over 70 points a game. But it's a different story when the Crimson Tide are on the field, and Nick Saban wants it. He wants to beat Ole Miss, and he wants to beat them bad. Then you got number 19 BYU versus number 10 UCLA to cap off tonight. BYU's worked a lot of magic. Can they upset the Bruins? Who knows? But the team I like to put on upset watch would be UCLA, because how BYU is upset two top 25 teams already this year. But that's it for this show this week. As you know, you can check this out on ChrisDixonSportsBlog.com, or you can follow me on Twitter at GCDixon 13 at Twitter, or you can find me on Facebook at Chris Dixon, or email me at chrisdixon13@gmail.com if you have any questions or want to figure out. I've been looking for it to get a crew together to do this show for a while. And I do a magazine every year, and it's on Joe Mag. It's a real small magazine, it's just something I do for fun. But I'd like to thank y'all for tuning in, and comment, view the blog, share the video. Do whatever you have to do to get this out here, because I'm trying to get y'all some good stuff. But thank y'all for viewing, and have a good week.